The next person is John Axtell, and subject matter is campaign finance reform.
I do have a timer if you need. I'll go ahead and just start it on myself here, if that's okay. I'll be on the honor system. Okay. Well, first of all, Mr. Meissner, thanks for calling back on my call this morning, and I appreciate your input. I've got to tell you that on the way out the door in our conversation, I left my talk on the printer, but worse yet, I left my coffee at home. Darn. This is a tough crowd. Okay. But I do want to reiterate some of the points that Brent made and make a few comments of my own. We have a Kansas ethos, an American ethos of fairness. We believe in a fair playing field, a level playing field, an equal opportunity for everybody. And here in Kansas especially, we kind of shudder at the thought of anything but a level playing field. Oh my goodness, wow, this is great. Thank you. I'm just kidding. I was just kidding. But what we find here at the City Council is that on multiple occasions, we've had contracts awarded to both the, on a no-bid basis, and contracts awarded to the high bidder at times when those contracts were awarded to vendors who had made substantial contributions to City Council people. Now, this practice can cost millions of dollars, and in fact, those contracts totaled several $1 million in excess revenues for those vendors compared to the later bid contract or to the low bid contract in the one circumstance. Now, the cost to the taxpayers should be concern enough to help us realize that such a pay-to-play practice would not be appropriate for our city. But what's even more of a concern for me, and I echo the concern that Brent has made, is that honest, lean businesses might see this as a reason to not participate in the city bid process. And worse yet, those same honest, lean businesses might not see an equal opportunity for them to get building permits, to get roads constructed near their businesses, or to get a liquor license for their restaurant. And in that sense, we might be deterring the very businesses that would really grow this community from ever settling in this community in the first place. So that's my main concern, and my request is very simple. I realize that this is not the procedure. I'm not asking for an ordinance to be passed at this moment, but I am asking that the City Council consider directing their legal staff to review an ordinance, just some words for an ordinance that would prohibit a council member or the mayor from voting to favorably impact a business that has made a contribution in excess of $100 to their campaign over the last 12 months or the last election cycle, whichever is longer. I'd like to place this in front of the council. May I? Thank you. And simply ask that a motion be made to direct the legal staff of this community, of this city, to review this and to craft an ordinance for a decision later by the council, an ordinance that would address the pay-to-play issue. I thank you for your consideration of my message.
Okay. Are there any questions? Just a second, sir. Councilman O'Donnell.
Yes, John, thank you for coming today and expressing your concerns. Gary, would this be something that your office could look into and get us, based on what the gentlemen have been saying about what other cities our size do with these types of laws or ordinances?
Yes, based upon council direction, our office would look at it.
Okay. Because I would like to see, if this is something that we would like to vote on as a council, at least some options on moving forward with these concerns one way or another. If we accept it or deny going forward, I'd be in favor of that. So, thank you.
Councilman Meichner?
Yeah, Mr. Axtell, this ordinance you're giving us in your presentation, is this just within the city limits, or are you asking this to be statewide with the governor and our future legislation application, or in other cities in the state and in the country, or is it just Wichita that you're asking this about?
It's a very good question. We talked about that this morning, and again, I appreciate your calling back on my call earlier. I think the most fair, as you've asserted in our conversation, I think the most fair approach would be to make sure that this is a statewide approach, but I'm asking actually that we look at this at the city level at this time.
When is your plans to ask anybody else in the state to do it?
Pardon?
Do you have plans to ask anybody else in the state, the county, to abide by this, or are you just us at this time?
Well, I'm John Axtell, and I live in Wichita, Kansas.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so my first point of impact would be Wichita. But that doesn't mean that we intend to stop here. My wife calls me Grand Poobah for all my political interests, so I have great plans. I'm
Looking forward to seeing them. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Pence.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Okay, seeing none, thank you. And Gary, I would certainly sit down. You should sit down and talk to council members as to what their feelings are and what they're looking at on this issue.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.